is spreading widely in the scientific journals and research communities throughout the world. But from a commercial development point of view, as a manager, I think creating a post of user interface architect within an organization or the chief user interface officer of an organization to be responsible for all interfaces is the starting point, and then these three pillars can be applied. The first one is the idea of a centralized usability lab for iterative testing that allows new interfaces to be tested at an early stage in their development, say 10% of the time of the project and 10% of the budget. This idea has spread very widely throughout the United States and the rest of the world, and I want to show you two versions of that. The first from a modest investment as done by OCLC.
Welcome to the OCLC Usability Lab, where the user is always right.
The purpose of the Usability Lab is to detect problems our users have with our products early in the development process, when they can be most easily and inexpensively corrected.
I'm in the evaluation room. This is where users sit to perform usability tasks during a typical test session.
From the observation room, the user's actions can be viewed through a one-way mirror and their comments recorded. Video cameras capture the screen, keyboard, and user. In this way, we don't need to guess what problems need to be corrected. We can see them.
The cost of the lab was about $20,000. This cost was quickly recovered by making products more usable and increasing product popularity.
Next time you're in Columbus, visit the OCLC Usability Lab, where the user is always right.
Usability labs have spread very widely. In fact, there's now a professional society forming for usability lab personnel. On the high end, we see the devoted efforts that IBM has had over many years, and they currently have developed a usability testing center which has 16 laboratories.
Outer perimeter are 16 test cells. They're ergonomically comfortable office settings with 2 noise-free cameras and a single hidden microphone. It's a natural but controlled test environment. The relational database system provides visual, audio, and written information logged at our integrated test consoles. One PS2 within each console is directly connected to the central database server. Combined with automated database logging features, that same system drives 2 videotape machines installed in the console.
I think that impressive commitment to usability testing is visible just by the physical site there, but we find many organizations can pursue less ambitious versions, set up a usability lab, or increasingly there are companies which will provide usability testing as an external contract services for hire. Either approach will get you very rapid feedback at an early stage in the development of a product and will lead to refinement that can save enormous costs and prevent delays from occurring later. Just as you wouldn't go to a play that didn't have rehearsals, or to an airplane that hadn't been test flown, nor would you buy a car without a test drive. Similarly, we think that the usability lab approach is extremely beneficial. Claire Marie Carrat at IBM, in one case, identified a 100-to-1 payoff for the investment in usability testing in terms of the product life cycle. So the usability lab process is in place. A few years ago, I might have told managers that they have an opportunity to be ahead of the pack, to have a competitive advantage by using the usability lab technique. At this point, I would say that failure to have usability lab testing of products would be a danger and would leave you open to the lawsuits or complaints from users of systems. So I think the benefits are that strong, and the expectation that that be used is quite common by now. The second pillar of successful interface development is the user interface management systems, the software tools that allow rapid building of systems for prototypes to do usability testing and to explore alternative designs, as well as then the completion of the project by more powerful user interface management systems or user interface development environments. The Next machine has been a leader in this area, and the user interface builder is a good example. In this case, you'll see the construction of a small interface of a dialog box for customer service representatives.
Every application on a Next computer is built using Interface Builder. Interface Builder is not just a simple user interface prototyper. It is an application builder.
I've already created the basic framework for the application, and now I'm going to lay out the contact information window. Over here we have what we call a palette, and all that is a collection of different objects which you can just drop into your application. In this case, I'm dropping in what we call a matrix of fields. You have to give each of these, of course, the appropriate name. The next thing we have to do is we have to create the 3 buttons we need for the contact information panel. So to do that, we can just move over to the palette and drag a button over. I also don't like the spacing of these buttons, so I'll stretch them out just a little bit.
In the same way, the Next programmer creates the customer log window by dragging a window object from Interface Builder's palette. Then he drags and drops a text object into the log window. With this one action, he has included in his program all the text handling capabilities of a sophisticated word processor, from multiple fonts and rich text to scrolling and spell checking.
The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my buttons to the object. Control-click on a button, and you come down and make a connection. Now, of course, the send button will get connected to the send function. The log button will get connected to the log function, and the find button will get connected to the find function. What just took me 2 or 3 minutes to do would probably take me an hour or so to do manually.
That example gives you, I think, a strong indication of how rapidly you can visually lay out the components of a user interface, see what it looks like. If you don't like it, rearrange it, show it to your potential users, try it in a prototype environment in a usability lab, and then come back for revisions. That capacity for rapid change is a great benefit to designers. The market for user interface development tools is blossoming, and in fact it's very difficult to keep up with what's happening. There are literally hundreds of new products and new ones emerging monthly, and it's a challenge to stay on top of them. But it does seem to me that the days in which programmers are expected to write C code or COBOL code to generate user interfaces is rapidly disappearing, and the appearance of these powerful tools are a necessity. Their use is a necessity for the next generation of development. That's my second pillar. The third pillar of development of successful user interfaces is the guidelines documents. Maybe the classic here is the Apple Human Interface Guidelines, which Apple published early on and gave to many thousands of the application developers so that all of them could make more or less the same kind of interface. And that uniformity and consistency enables users to adopt new applications very rapidly. The benefits are dramatic, and studies have shown that Apple Macintosh users use many more different applications than users of other platforms. IBM's come a long way in the recent years in their Common User Access, the Guide to User Interface Design under the Systems Application Architecture. These documents are now providing some of the pressure to make similar uniformity. Also, appearance of Windows 3.0, 3.1, and OS 2 are making a dramatic difference in terms of the ease of use and the uniformity. Still, though, we are faced now with the terrible conflict of choosing between those two graphic user interfaces on the IBM platforms. Of course, there are other guidelines documents such as Sun's OpenLook and the OSF Motif. designed for the Unix environments. And new environments, I mentioned before the pen-based computers, and we see the Go Corporation's design guidelines document is providing a platform on which similar uniformity can